Hello. So, one question which always was in my mind when I started growing in higher amounts or bigger amounts was how much do I grow to meaningfully supply the needs of our little family for the whole year? So, I'll explain what I mean by that, okay? Because sometimes you end up one packet of seeds, if they're small seeds, there's like a lot of seeds in there. Do you need that many cabbages or that many broccoli? Probably not, right? So, how I try to see is with the amount of space I have, I don't have a lot of space. So, with the amount of space, so this is how I calculate. How many times do I make cabbage toren, dry fry or stir fry, in a month? Maybe once, max twice, right? So, I would say one cabbage, if it's a big cabbage, half of it is enough for one toran, right? For our family of four. Me and Sharon eat mostly cabbage. Kids are not like a big fan, but they will eat if I make the stir fry, right, with the curries. So that means I need 6 big heads of cabbage for a year. I'm talking about a 1 year supply, okay? So if I grow and I grow just 6 cabbages and 3 takes and the other 3 dies, then I'm left with 3 cabbages. So you sow at least 12 seeds. Yeah? So when I say 12 seeds, when the seeds are so small, of course you put 2 or 3 seeds into a cell, right? The growing cell, or when you sow it. So that's how I calculate that. Okay, these are bigger things like cabbage, broccoli heads, stuff like that. Now, when it's carrots, beets, you can grow them around the year here in Southern California, especially where I live. So that's not a big deal. I always have some carrots or beets growing in my garden, and I'm not self-sufficient with that yet. Okay, because I don't have that much space to grow that much, because we use a lot of carrots and a lot of beets. Beets is one of the favorite veggies of Celine. Carrots also, we use it in so many different recipes, so they go fast. Another thing I could say we are almost self-sufficient with our needs is potatoes, because they form so many tubers, and you can get at least 2 or 3 rounds of potatoes going in 1 year in Southern California, in LA. So I do a fall one, I do a spring one, and I'll get away with one more. So throughout, you have enough seed potatoes and potatoes. So today one of my major projects is to process my potatoes. My daughter has said she'll do the cooking today, so I'll just be doing garden produce, processing and gardening stuff today. That's my on my agenda. So yes, um, that is how you calculate. So bigger things, smaller things, whatever things you're growing, garlic, onion, look how much you use. And I will never get self-sufficient with garlic and onions in this little urban backyard of mine, because they need, if you know how much garlic and onion an Indian household who cooks uses, like the amount I grow, maybe to be good for 2 or 3 months. That's it. I go through at least 10 to 12 bulbs of onion and garlic every week, because we use it in everything and we like the flavor. So it doesn't stay long, right? And I think this last fall, I I put in like maybe 100 100 cloves. So let's say if I get 100 good bulbs, right? How long is that going to last? Not too long, right? So yeah, that I'll not be self-sufficient, but I'm just growing for the happiness of growing it, because it's a long process. It takes 7 to 8 months. Seeing it going from nothing to forming the giant bulb and pulling it out, it gives me so much happiness. But that's how you calculate. So let's say you use 12 bulbs a week. Okay, I don't want to say 12, because most households maybe not use that much. Let's say 4, okay, just to be a good estimate. So a year has 52 weeks. So you multiply that with 4. Yeah, sometimes some months you're going on a vacation, you're not home, you're not cooking as much. So that will give you a good estimate. 52 times 4. Let's say 50, just to make it easy. 50 times 2 is 100. So you need to grow 200 um, bulbs. You have to put in 200 cloves to get 200 bulbs. Now we have to also consider margin of error, right? Some may not take, some may not form good bulbs. So let's say 250. So if your need for a year is 200, then you put at least 250, so you have enough and extra. And what are you going to use extra for the next year? You're going to use it for your fall, when you have to plant them again, so you don't have to buy. So once you buy, and then you save both seed potatoes, your potatoes as seed potatoes, or your garlic as seeds, and some of your onion, just let it go to seed. And if you don't want your onion to go to seed, the one you grew, what you do is the store-bought onions, after you use most of the onion, the top part where the roots come out, like cut a chunk of it and put that root part into the ground. That onion will know that it's its second year of growing. So onions, they flower the second year of growing, technically, right? Or unless the onion is thinking, oh, this is my second year, because of the weird weather, it'll go to flower the first year itself. So there you go. And when that onion, plant couple of them, when they grow, you can collect seeds for your next season. So you don't have to buy literally any seeds. Okay. So that's how you calculate whether it's carrots, cabbage, beetroot, your onions, your garlic, your pepper, your capsicum, like pepper and capsicum and all that. Capsicum is bell pepper, okay? If you use a lot, have multiple plants, because some plants will fail. Eggplants. So think of how much you use, how much you love that, and then you grow to the number of the amount you need and a little extra. So you have margin of error if some crop fails. And the crops fail not because they don't want to grow, it's the weather, or you are not there, you neglected it a little bit because you are busy with work or whatnot, right? So that's how in the last 4 to 5 years I've been actively and seriously gardening. That's how I decide how much to grow. So again, it's not even like, oh, I want to be self-sufficiency, food safety. That's not what I mean. I just want to see how much from a little backyard, how much we can produce for our family, so we could eat. And all this money I'm spending, especially the initial setup, is what will cost you, right? Then after that, you make your own compost, you buy organic fertilizer, you make your own concoctions from all the leftover veggie scraps and all that you get, and then you use that in the garden. So I can truly tell you, you can probably have a thriving garden. You just need to buy some, because these I haven't figured out how to make them at home. I know there are ways, there are multiple YouTube videos. Bone meal and blood meal, okay? So those two things meets most of the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium needs of the plant, the bone meal and the blood meal, right? And then you buy a little bit of fish fertilizer. That's all you need, truth be told, right? Because the rest, you use your compost, you use all the veggie scraps, the eggshells, your coffee grounds, all that in your compost, and that will enrich your soil. That is so good. Then every year when you want to refresh, buy the cheapest thing, which is chicken manure or steer manure, okay? And a lot of them have compost mixed into it. Mix it to your soil. And then the one which I use the most to rejuvenate and refresh my soil is a concoction I make with yeast and brown sugar. So mix brown sugar in water, add yeast. It goes through the fermentation process. I add a little bit of vinegar. I may add a little bit of fermented rice water, and that concoction I dilute and put it to the soil. That literally, it's like the next day you can see the plants will be like, whoa, like they woke up from sleep. Same thing with fish fertilizer. So you don't need to buy a lot of fertilizer. You put in fertilizer and you add this concoction, it really activates the soil microbiome, right? The people who are living in the soil, who actually helps your plants to produce, and they will be activated. And then of course, having earthworms, it was a big blessing for me. I naturally had earthworms, so I only had to relocate them to different pots and areas. And you give them enough compost, they'll be eating them. I compost inside. I compost in the beds when I plant them, not directly under the plant, a little lower. So that will attract even more earthworms. And they naturally, they are earthworm castings, earthworm poop that also replenishes the soil from the compost they eat. They love stale bread. cardboard, of course, put cardboard which has no ink on it, uh, all those things. So it is so uh, efficient with money if you garden this way. And it took me 5 or 6 years. I started with Miracle Grow soil and Miracle Grow fertilizer. I didn't know any better at that time, but right now I tell my friends and family I have a PhD from YouTube University. So I learned a lot of things. Plus, you learn by doing and learn by error, and these are some of the things I learned, and that will help you to have a thriving garden, whether you're growing in pots or you're growing in the ground. And if you don't have any pots to start with and you don't have the money, get some cardboard boxes, add some soil to it, and then you start your garden. You can grow anything in a pot or a cardboard box, like the cheapest version. If you get some pallets and you're good with woodwork, you can make your own raised beds from that. Like, you can start it so quickly, and just get some fish fertilizer and bone and blood meal. You're Gucci, you're good to go. You can start your garden. And then meanwhile, you start composting on the side. If you don't have any earthworms in your ground, get some, bring them to your garden, and then they will multiply. Especially if you put them with the compost, they will multiply like nobody's business. Then you locate them to your garden beds. So you could have a beautiful, beautiful garden. And always check out the sales section in Lowe's, in Home Depot, and that's how you add little by little plants, the ones you want for your garden to look beautiful, because it's not just at the end of the day producing food, it's also happiness. So the flowers are the ones which will give you all that happiness. And you add succulents, you add different things as you get more and more confident. You bring it and you plant it and see if they like it. If they don't like a spot, move them to a different spot. Maybe they need more sunlight, maybe they need more shade. And then you watch enough videos, you read up enough, and then you become an expert. I always refresh every single year. I've been gardening for a while. I still watch those videos because I forget. I'm like, oh, was I supposed to give the garlic some more food like right before harvest? Or can I spray this? So if I forget, I always go back and watch some videos from the experts out there, because you can't remember everything at all times. You have a life to live, you have your kids' schedule, you have your schedule, you have church, you have your social activities. Then life happens, right? Someone is sick, someone meet with an accident, someone passes away. So life comes at you, and then your focus shifts. So whenever I come back and I have a question, I go back to YouTube and I will rewatch a video, or I look for a new video, and you always learn new things. So here you go. That's how you calculate how much you want and start a garden without spending a lot of money, and maintain a garden without spending a lot of money, and still have yummy produce, and you can feed your family. And there is so much happiness when it is something which is grown by you, and then your children will say, Mama, it tastes different. That is the thing which gets me. That really gets me. They will say it tastes different, and some things they never like to eat, they eat when it's homegrown. My cat, he's not a vegetarian, he's a cat. But if it's a homegrown bean, he will eat some of it, because I think it tastes different, and the earthy smell. When I come out of the garden, he comes to near me, he smells me, he likes to lick me and all that. Okay, because I smell like outside, like garden, like earth. So all that. And I think my cat is somebody who loves my garden, because hey, this is cat paradise right here. Right, this is cat paradise, and he loves it. He can roam around, he'll feel wild. He's like, wow, I really like this. So he'll be walking like this. I walk through the forest. That's how he'll be walking. So I know it was a long video, but good luck everybody if you're trying gardening. Bye.